All right. No clue if it's working. Joel, can you hear me? Can you hear music? Can you see me? All that good stuff. Joel, you're not responding. Hello, Jeff, Joel. Can you guys give me a, so I know that we're on? Yes, okay, sounds good. We might actually be pulling this off. The learning curve continues, everyone. We're trying to do this with the Zoom, and I think we're getting there. Robert, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to maximize screen and not cut everyone off. All right. Well, everyone, welcome to Sober Talk. It is Tuesday night. It is we're on the learning curve, everyone. So we're getting this thing figured out. We're getting a lot of bugs worked out, but Carrie and Tom can back me up on this. Carrie always wants to do this with a minute to go before the show starts. So it's Tom and I are the consummate professionals, and we're dealing with some really non-professional help in the background. So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sober Talk. You're here because you want to get sober. You need to get sober. Perhaps you're just sober curious, whatever the reason. We are very glad you're here. How do you know if you have a drug or alcohol problem? If it's causing problems, that's probably a pretty good sign. I know that that's how it worked out for me. Sadly, I've quit, restarted more times than I can remember, but hopefully with all of you and all of us working this together, not only for me, it'll be my last attempt because of success, but also for all of you as well. So again, I'm Jeff Graham coming to you live from the Cold Room. Tonight, we're going to kind of hit a topic. I want to cover a few things real quick on Sober Talk, just so you guys know, we are not doctors. We're a couple of schleps that are just trying to get sober, working together. We don't have the answers, but if we all work together, we can find them. The answers are out there, and collectively as a group, we can get those answers. So that's what the talking and communicating and getting all this stuff, where that all comes in. So just looking at my participants because I want to make sure getting some people coming in. Couple things. If you want to talk on the show, you can text me your name and phone number to the Cincy Sober Cell. That's 513-313-6676. That is only for text, 513-313-6676. We are going to also, we're doing the Zoom thing. If you'd like to be on the Zoom, I need your email address, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get people on tonight via Zoom. But once I have your email address, I can start sending you out links and getting you into the rooms so we can get you on with your face to share, which I would love to do. So please text me any of that, as well as a phone number if you'd rather just be on phone, 513-313-6676. Thanks, Joel, for putting that back up. We are not doctors. If you guys, we've said this before, but sobriety, we have some fun with it, and we're going to do this together as a group. But if you've been a big drinker like I was, just to stop cold turkey can have all sorts of problems with it. The DTs, delirium tremors, whatever you call it, going cold turkey off alcohol, or benzos, the prescription drug route. Also, I did not do that myself, but there's a lot of consequences by just going cold turkey. We are sobriety support. But if you're going to go and you want to make a clean, wipe the slate clean and just stop, strongly suggest you talk to your doctor, someone in the medical profession, because there's rehab centers out there. We've got some links to that we can get up here. Really good stuff that will help you, keep you safe, make it comfortable for you, make it a lot easier for you. So please reach out to us. You can text me 513-313-6676. You can email us, and I think Carrie's going to put it up. I'm not sure if I'm going to put Tom's personal or the work one. So that'll be in there as well. Email us, and we will help you find whoever you need. I'm going to, this weekend, Friday is actually going to be 1 year freedom for me. Some call it sobriety date. I call it freedom date. And I don't have enough time in the hour to go through all the reasons why I call it my freedom date. But I'm free from a life that was killing me and killing people around me. Didn't care if it was just taking me down or taking everyone that I loved or knew with them. So, but Friday is my sobriety date. It's also Friday is a 1 year anniversary, the Friday before Super Bowl weekend, when I had my last little hoorah with alcohol. It was a weekend that I'm really not proud of. It was a weekend I needed. It was what I learned from it. It was a relapse. I think looking back, I knew probably a week or two before the first beer ever touched my lips that I was going that way. I can't go through that again. It was because of what I learned, because of the way I came out on top of it, because of it, what I learned from it, I fell forward instead of falling backwards. Yeah, I fell hard that weekend. There was a lot of bad things that happened. Almost lost my family. Just to start that tip of the iceberg on down. I was very fortunate that that's all that happened, but it was a bad weekend. So I got a big one coming up this weekend. My wife was out of town last year at this weekend. She's going out of town this weekend. Two of my kids are going to be out of town. It's a weekend that a lot of my accountability is going to be gone. And I think I'm going to be fine. I'm positive I'm going to be fine. I don't know that I'm going to be fine. And I'm scared to death that I may be wrong. And I'm not going to take chances. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about insurance because I am taking every insurance policy I can. I'm coming up on a year. I am not going to wake up Monday and look at myself in the mirror and say, you did it again. You idiot, you loser. You know, you're at day one. Have fun going on the show and telling everyone. Have fun telling Tom. Have fun telling your wife, your kids. Have fun telling yourself in the mirror. I don't want to see that face. I have told just about anyone, including all of you. And you guys have the Cincy Sober Cell. If anyone wants to send me, hey, Butthead, send me a text back that I know you're not drinking. I will do so. I am taking insurance. When I got out of rehab, I asked for a prescription of Antabuse. I've never tested this stuff, but this is the stuff that if you take a sip of alcohol, supposedly even if you can use mouthwash and not rinse and swallow, it'll make you sick as a dog. I don't know that as a fact. I think I've got someone that might attest to that. We can talk to you later, but I don't want to find that out. I asked my doctor for that, and I took that for about the first 2 months after I got out of rehab. Actually, it was when I got out of my relapse because I was so ticked about it. It was insurance for me. Just knowing what it was supposed to do, the fact that I was going to be throwing my guts up if I drank after taking it. I took it in the morning when I was strong, when I had, it's the whole, you don't go grocery shopping when you're hungry. If I go grocery shopping when I'm hungry, I'm going to walk out with 2 carts full of crap food. You take care of your hunger before you put yourself in that situation to shop. It was the same thing with me. I got up and I took the pill when I was strong, the Antabuse, so that evening I didn't have to rely on willpower. It was already done, and I had that as insurance. So I'm kind of covering a lot of things here, but this weekend's a big weekend for me. It's going to be a big milestone. I'm sure I'm going to be good, but I am not taking any chances because I don't want to stare at that guy Monday morning and with that look of, you pig, you did it again. So I want to talk about a little bit about insurance. I do have a lot of friend of mine called, they called themselves the living Antabuse, meaning, I'll be calling you and bugging you and by the phone. I've got a whole list of phone numbers. I've got activities. I've got stuff we're going to do. I am not giving myself a lot of downtime to sit. And again, I'm not that worried that I'm going to drink this weekend. That's not the issue. It's what I'm worried about is the consequences that would happen if I did. And it's just, maybe it's because it's a 1 year, but it's a big one. So I don't want to take chances. So anyways, got someone I want to bring on. I am going to, we had talked to this guy one time, asked to unmute and start video. Hopefully, again, we're working the bugs out here, but if you guys want to be on, Lee, there you go. Can you hear me, Lee?
Hey. Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Lee, yes. Welcome. We're actually pulling this thing off possibly with Zoom. So
Yes,
good to see you. Heard a little bit of your story, but one of the things we didn't really get into was you being, a year or two younger than I am, which is, hardly really not noticeable, but a younger guy. And you're in a different crowd that I face as a 56-year-old man. My Friday nights are not what your group of friends, or at least your age group of friends, do on a Friday night. Mine are, it's a little, we still go out. I mean, we get it done, dude. Don't get me wrong. We still have fun. But it's not the pressures for a younger guy. But what is your insurance? I mean, because you don't want to lock yourself into your room and, listen to books on tape on a Friday night. You want to go out and have fun. What do you do? What is your insurance against that?
Yeah, insurance, man. I'm a musician, and I've played with bands over the years. I play with I do a lot of playing in churches these days. As
you look like older. A drummer.
I was a drummer first. Yeah, I sing and play guitar and do some stuff. And when I first got sober, the reality of it is I had to be willing to lay that down and put my sobriety first. Luckily, I was surrounded by some really awesome friends that were musicians that I played with that were supportive. And there were a couple bands that I was able to continue playing with because they had my back. And I had a sponsor, and I have a sponsor now. His name's Luke. And Luke
is he your age, Lee, or an older guy? Mine's
Luke, he's not older. He's your age. He's in his 50s. And he, really, he and I kind of set it up at the beginning. Like I told him, I said, hey, I've got these bands I really want to play with, but maybe I can't do that right now. And I did take some time off. And then when I did start playing again and gigging in bars, basically at times, we had to have a solid plan going in, and we had that plan. And the plan was, I went for sound check. I sound checked, and then I got the heck out of there and went and had dinner someplace else, got some pizza or something. And then I would play the show. And then when the show was over, I wasn't hanging around afterwards, and I was making calls throughout the night at first saying, hey, I'm doing all right. And
were most of your buddies, were your buddies ditching you because they wanted to go out and drink, or how did that play out?
No, they were so supportive. A lot of times in the early days, I would notice that people would maybe not drink around me or not drink as much as they normally would. And now I've got a couple of 24 hours under my belt, and it doesn't bother me anymore to be around it, and that's just I know not everyone is like that. Some people cannot be around alcohol. For me, when my friends or my wife is having a glass of wine or something, it doesn't bother me. Because I know for me, I cannot put that stuff in my body anymore. I know what's going to happen if I do it. So, it's what you said. All about accountability for me, man.
No, you're right. And that, I like what you said, because I'm the same way. My immediate family, friends are all drinkers. And the last thing I want is to be out. Oh, just don't drink because Jeff's around. That's not going to be fun for me. It's my problem. And I feel guilty saying that because some people cannot be around it. And especially initially, there's nothing wrong with that. You got to protect your sobriety, that whatever.
Absolutely.
But I don't want to live my life of, oh, well, do we want to have the Grahams go over? Cause Jeff doesn't drink. And if he's over, we're all going to be, hey, when's he going home so we can get this party started? I'd rather not be around that situation. So I'm fortunate, but I also don't jump into that situation without, being prepared, and for me, having my wife with me, for example, there's your number one accountability or, insurance policy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But if not, I got to have someone else, a good buddy, a friend, whoever, just that knows.
In my recovery, I have, you don't always talk about recovery with everybody. You don't tell everybody I'm an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic, but I've found that I like to talk about, at least hint at recovery. And most people who I'm around, they know at least that I don't drink. And usually because they know I'm in recovery. And I find that that's insurance too. I know that the people I hang out with know what I'm doing in life. They know what I'm not trying not to do in life too. And, I don't go just hang out with a bunch of strangers at a bar anymore and eat chicken wings and pretend like, act like I'm not going to drink. When back when I was drinking, that's what I did constantly, was go to bars by myself, hang out with perfect strangers and drink all night long. I don't put myself in that situation anymore. But I can, and I'm grateful that I can put myself in situations that have alcohol around me, because they're not the dangerous situations that I used to put myself in. You said, I have a support structure.
Do you find people treat you a little differently? Because I know at first, I could tell there was a little, how's it going to be? I almost was looking in the mirror because I saw them, sneaking a beer, just make sure Jeff didn't see me pounding, slamming this beer, a little bit of that. And I kind of laughed because that's exactly what I did when I was on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think number one, myself, speaking for myself here, I tend to way overanalyze people. And so maybe in my mind, they're turning to the side and sipping quiet, secretively, but maybe in reality, they're not giving it two thoughts, and that's just my own weird thoughts. But also, there's been times where a friend has said something like, hey, does it bother you that we're going to toast? Or, I was at the grocery store one time, we're going to hang out with some friends, and I picked up a bottle of wine for my wife and our friend. And later on, someone said, oh, was that tough for you? And you know what? I just felt like, man, that's such a nice thing that they thought about me, And I said, you know what? It doesn't bother me, and I will tell you if it does. And I really appreciate your concern, and I appreciate your friendship,
Yeah, I would rather have people that drink. I'm to the point where, as long as I don't have that first one, it's not a problem. It's flicking that light switch. And if I have one, well, now it's done, and I'm fine as long as I don't. So, yeah. Hey, the sponsor, when I first got in, and I'm an AAer, and we're not, this show's not an AA program, but obviously AA is probably the granddaddy of recovery. Probably more people than not know it, but a sponsor is someone to help you work the steps, but more importantly, to answer questions, give you guidance, talk you through. And I struggled at first with, I wanted a sponsor that was a friend, that was cool, that liked the same things I did, whatever. And it kind of, my guy is his nickname is the Hammer, because he just says it like it is. And I was kind of bummed because he said, I'll do this, but I'm not doing this to be your friend. If it works out, we become friends, that's fine. And it really bothered me, because it was like, why? I want this guy to like me. I want to be a buddy, but it's not. He was, I guess if you were being taught how to walk the tightrope, you want a buddy that you really like telling you, or do you want the Walindas that are just giving you instruction and their only purpose isn't to love you, it's to get you to the other side alive? And that's I struggled with it, but that's true. It was like, now I do like this guy. Now he's not, I wouldn't go out, hang with him outside of this or outside of, the recovery area, but his job as a sponsor is to make sure I still got to do it myself, but it's not about liking me or loving me or being my friend. It's about, I'm asking him, keep me in the right path. And that's his job.
Yeah. It's a coach, right? It's a coach or a mentor, or it's someone who has gone before me and done what I'm hoping to do, which is stay sober. My first sponsor, well, my counselor, when I went through an IOP program, she told me, we're going to get you sober. And then she said, but a 12-step program is going to keep you sober. Like a program of recovery is going to keep you sober when this is all over with. And so she said, go to a meeting, get a sponsor. And so that day I went to a meeting and I asked the first person I saw, will you be my sponsor? And he said, yeah. And that turned out to be a temporary thing. He was my sponsor for like 2 months, went through a couple of the steps. And then I met, and we knew that was temporary because he was getting ready to move to the West Coast. And so I kind of kept my eyes open. And when I saw my sponsor give a lead once at a meeting, he was the first guy that I saw give a lead who seemed happy. Like all the leads I saw before that, I was like, man, everybody seems to be really pissed off. And he seemed happy and joyful and like he had a good perspective. And I went up to him and I said, man, you seem like you've got joy in your life, and I need that. I don't think I can walk around with my head, hanging down.
Right.
And I'm glad that he said, yeah. But I have to say at the beginning, he would kind of give me the same thing. Like, hey, this isn't about us being friends. This is about me showing you my program basically, and showing you the steps. And then luckily we've become very close friends. And we take every now and again, I go to Cleveland and we take a walk with our dogs on a golf course, or go sit by the lake or something. And he's just become a dear friend. But he doesn't have to be. You're right. A sponsor doesn't have to be a friend. They could just be a sponsor and still serve the exact same purpose.
And I think the term sponsor typically goes with AA, but for people that aren't AA, drop it as an AA term, just as a generic, like you said, a coach. I think it's important because my best buddies probably would be lousy coaches for me. They're my best buddies for probably the wrong reasons. And I don't need a buddy. So if it's going to be, if you're not in the AA program, but still to have a coach is someone, that is going to treat this as a business deal of like you said, a coach. I mean, it's, you see NFL, I'm a big football fan, and you see coaches on the sidelines screaming their guts out at the players, chewing them up and down. But as soon as the game's over and they've won, you'll see them hugging. And they love and respect each other. But during the game, we have to get the ball down the field. We have to put it in the end zone or whatever, basketball in the hoop, whatever the case may be. That's work. We'll celebrate the victory, but we got to get to that point. We can't celebrate a victory if we don't have a victory. So having someone, regardless, picking the easy way out is probably, that's probably not in my best interest, because those are the people I can snow. The other thing that, and I've got a couple of gals we're going to chat with also just about insurance, but, for men in recovery, there was a thing we were talking in some meetings this morning, or not this week, but about, we're groomed to be tough guys. We don't show feelings. We don't show fear. We don't admit that kind of stuff. and we hide it from everyone else. Kind of and I'm just being very stereotypical here. We as males hide that from everyone, because we don't want to be seen as weak or whatnot. And, with some of the women in some of the groups I've seen, it's acceptable to show emotions and fears and, pouring it out. But for a guy to do that, it can be a sign of weakness. Well, I'm probably the poster child for the opposite of that. They call me V-Man, which is Mr. Vulnerable. V-Man comes in because I pour it out. I mean, but if I'm not telling even you or someone close, okay, we're doing this with a lot of people listening, but dumping it, if I can't say it to you, I'm probably not doing a good job of even saying it to myself. So
that's very true.
That's tough sometimes, because we're conditioned to hide everything and not show those emotions. And I'm not going to go in specifics, but I got fears galore. I got insecurities galore. I've got emotions and, I'm a big guy, but I'm not afraid to cry type stuff. But a lot of it's a tougher road, I think, sometimes for men, just because of that stereotypical thing. And maybe that's unfair and I'm going to tick some people off, but that's how I see it. And I think that is part of, for me, in recovery and getting sober and staying sober, is understanding me and what's causing me to want to check out by drinking a case of beer. What am I afraid of? What am I anxious about? What am I regretful, ashamed of? All those emotions. If I don't figure those out, I'm not gonna, I have no chance of fixing it. And that's where the whole, Tom has talked about this on the show, many times, abstinence versus sobriety. I quit for 9.5 years on my own. I didn't know what the term a dry drunk was, but I was abstinent. I did not drink for 9.5 years. I didn't deal with any of the reasons, things that made me drink or want to drink. Yeah. And that's where sobriety is now. Step one, I stopped drinking, but I got to fix the problems that are wanting me to check out, or they're going to just keep pounding and pounding me until I'm got a weekend where my wife is out of town and the Super Bowl's on. And that's, I find an excuse to do it.
Well, I'm going to have to call you this weekend now, right? A couple times.
I am looking forward to telling people, hey, I was just saying it for the show. I'm fine. Leave me alone. I mean, I really am looking for it.
And then I'll tell you, don't try to be a tough guy.
Exactly. And then I'll start crying. I'm actually going to, I think a lot of people, if you're not on Sober Talk Live, the Facebook page, but if you join that, you do get notices anytime. Tom's been running working on the bugs of this. So we've had some impromptu meetings, but I think I'll be on again Thursday. But if you might see the alerts pop up where periodically I'm going to just get on just to see if anyone checks in, just to say. I even thought about getting some of the Walgreens or Walmart, those little alcohol test strips, and you want to see we're still good. No line. Just but again, that's all the insurance, and that's what just telling you, and you're a perfect example. That phone call, crap, Lee's going to call me. I don't want to be. And that's that accountability.
That's what it's all about. We're talking about sponsors or coaches. It's not about being a sponsor or coach. Is actually about them staying sober too. We've learned that the best way for me to stay sober is to work with other people who are suffering from the same addiction issue, the same disease. And so when I work with somebody else and I talk to another alcoholic or an addict, I stay sober because of that working together. And some people call it magic. I think it's something to do with some deeper psychological issue. But even the fact that I know I'm going to call you on this weekend because you're being vulnerable, talking about, your thoughts surrounding the Super Bowl. I get to stay sober this weekend too, because I have that in my life, you know. And
Yeah.
I think that's the accountability, the relational piece of all this is a huge part of the insurance policies for me.
I've talked to people that are newer in sobriety and have asked me, and I've helped them. And at the end, I just say, hey, thank you so much for, wait a minute, you called me. I didn't call you. But I feel like I'm thanking them because I'm strong. I got more out of it than they did.
Totally. Yeah.
So absolutely. All right. Well, look, buddy, I'm going to let you go.
All right, man.
And thanks for everything and for coming on. And we're going to keep the Zoom thing going. I'd like I said, 513-313-6676. If you text me your email, we're going to start a list where we can get you guys on. And if you're on and want to share about anything, would love to have you. So that's perfect. And I'm going to go, let me bring on someone that has Meeghan was actually my first guest on this, and hopefully Meeghan, you there? Can't hear you. I think you're still, I got to ask you to unmute. I'm sorry. We're still figuring out these buttons. So I'm clicking on ask to unmute. Why is it not doing it? Okay, there we go. So there, you got it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Good to have you. Thanks for coming on.
Let me just ask, since Lee had a ball cap on and you have a ball cap on, is it okay that I'm on without a ball cap?
No, that was, you should have gotten that message before we started. So, you know, I don't know.
I just wasn't sure. It's the He-Man Women Haters Club, like the Little Rascals. Is it okay?
No, it's the, I'm trying to get the, I'm just hoping people aren't looking at the screen going, God, he really is. Why does he even have hair up there? I mean, there's only 4 of them. Who's he trying to kid? So it's all living a lie. But, you had, you're in a morning group that I do, but you had brought up the term, living in abuse, which, you know, it's all that accountability. You came from a decent sized New York family. I think alcohol was kind of in your family.
Yes, most definitely.
So how did you deal when you, I mean, you still have family members that are drinking? How's that going with family involved?
Well, to be honest, it's a little easier because they live in New York and I live here. But they still we'll be talking on the phone and someone will say, oh, I'm just pouring a drink. Oh, was I not supposed to say that to you? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's okay. You know, you talked about accountability earlier, and that's such a key, but that's part of what got me into the trouble that I got into, because I had no accountability. And then I came out of rehab and I really still didn't have any accountability living with me. So I had to make myself look in that mirror and make myself accountable because I wanted this to work.
See, it's people that are in your situation. You hear, you know, that are no longer with a spouse. Kids are gone, whatever. My hat's off to them. That is because I'm fortunate to have accountability close by. Now, I also have chosen to add a lot of accountability with my groups, my sponsor, my friends, extended family, whatever the case may be. But for that person that's sitting in their house alone, their apartment alone, and trying to do this, man, more power to you, because that's I don't know if I have that strength at times. That scares me.
But, you know, I dug that hole for myself anyway prior to stopping drinking, because I had begun to isolate. You know, I wanted to drink at home. I didn't want to have to drive. You know, I wanted to drink with impunity. You know, I wanted to be able to drink as much as I wanted to without anybody giving me the hairy eyeball or saying, you know, oh my God, she's had three glasses of wine, when I'd really probably having 6 at home. You know, it just kind of felt like when I finally surrendered and gave in that I needed to do this, that I had to stick through it. And I got a sponsor pretty quickly, and it wasn't anybody I knew either. And if she said it to me once, she said it to me so many times that how much more I'm helping her than she's helping me. But she was there. I mean, she was on speed dial.
Oh, I didn't believe that for the longest time. I thought that was just something you said to be nice to this pathetic loser that, oh, great, you chose me. Great. Now I got to listen to your blabbering stories. But yeah, that's true.
She was on speed dial for me. And, I think she taught me how to really get through the beginning steps of recovery. And then what's so cool about AA, and that's my base. And that teaches me how to live in recovery, how to live a sober life and it be okay and feel better about myself. And I do. I used to say, there was nobody that liked to drink wine more than I. Lots of jokes around it, but now I feel like I can still be that funster, I think. You might jump in here and say, yeah, you really are fun.
Well, no, that's a huge fear. I was just thinking the same thing, that I might, am I going to be able to, and maybe I wasn't funny when I was drinking and just thought I was. Maybe I'm the only one that found me humorous. I know that when I'm sober now, I'm around people that are drinking, and they sure as hell think they're funnier the more they drink. And it ain't the case one bit. They were like, I'm glad you just brought that up, because that's kind of a self-realization that's how I looked at myself. But I see people that are a hell of a lot funnier before they get drunk. And that's probably what they think they are. I don't know if there's that middle line or what, but yeah.
Well, it's kind of like I used to think I could sing. Well, I do kind of think I can sing.
Now my voice peels paint. That's one that I don't have that problem. So what were your, I guess, reasons? I know you'd been on before and said with your daughters telling you, Mom, it's time. But what were if you're analyzing, I could not put stuff to bed as far as fears about tomorrow, regrets about yesterday. I couldn't let stuff go. I held on and internalized everything. And for me, drinking, if you know what a pressure cooker is, they got that little top that, and as that thing gets hot and pressure builds, that little valve whistles and blows and lets steam off. If it didn't, that thing becomes a bomb, or like a volcano would be the same thing. You see these things blowing, letting steam off or whatever, relieving that pressure. I didn't have that valve. And I think I let stuff that the normal person could vent and let go and put it out of their mind and go to bed. And I laid in bed thinking more and more and more and more. And then it was 3 a.m. and I was so full of angst and wound that the only valve to release it was releasing the valve on the top of a beer can.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of people in our situation that don't have that valve released, Jeff. And I think that's, slowly that steam is able to be released because you've kind of cut that anchor. I mean, otherwise you're just feeding that vicious cycle. You're laying there in bed and you're thinking you can't sleep because you drank too much before going to sleep. And then all of a sudden you want to drink again to put yourself back to sleep. And you've got all these things that are swirling around in your mind. And, it's just too much. It's just the pressure starts to build. And that's one of the reasons that it gotten to me. And I didn't want to have to deal with that anymore. And I can say right now that I can go to sleep with a good conscience, and boy, does it feel good.
There's you hear a lot of pro AA, anti AA. There's some people that will cringe when they hear it, and kind of bums me out because there are some things in the program, the 12 steps, that are strictly AA. I will give you that, but there's a ton of it that are just, I think, universal across recovery, but people still lump the term Alcoholics Anonymous with everything that in it is its own entity, its own cult. which is not the case. I think 90% of what's in AA are the same principles, techniques, thought processes, whatever, that are in other sobriety support programs.
Well, it hasn't been around for as long as it's been around so successfully for no reason. But you know what? AA did for me what alcohol could never do. And it took me to stop drinking to realize that.
Yeah, you hear the terms, and I still struggle with it of, Jeff Graham, grateful alcoholic. And I always, what are you grateful for? That you're sitting here hosting a sober talk show when you could be at a bar drinking with your buddies? I'm grateful that I can't do those kind of things. And I didn't understand that at all. But the growth I've gotten and the doors that it's open, as far as the happiness I never would have had without it, because I did not know how to deal with life, the stresses of life, the day-to-days with it. Those are skills that I don't think I would have learned. Even my wife says that because of AA and sobriety, that she says, I listened for the first time. I will actually, she can carry, 31 years of marriage. She can have a conversation with me, and I don't sit and get nervous and fidgety and want to get out, because any kind of tension, I wanted to get the hell out of the room and find something else. So there's a lot of benefits that I wouldn't have gotten from it. I don't think, this is a little cliche, but I wouldn't be the person I am if I hadn't screwed up so bad. It was I benefited because of all the screw ups that I dealt with or lived through. Yeah,
I'm the person I am too. That's my makeup, and you have to learn from those things. And I don't regret the past. I don't want to shut the door on it, but I have to move forward and learn from some of those things that really weren't good for me. I was that pressure cooker time bomb walking around. I know that, and I just didn't want it to end that way.
Yeah,
that I had too much to live for. So
gotcha. All right, well, look, I'm going to check in. Got someone that's newer in sobriety that I wanted to check in with, so I'm going to let you go, but thanks for being on. And I'm going to I don't know, mute yourself and turn off your video somehow, because I'm messing it up otherwise. We're figuring this stuff out. Everything I learned, as soon as I go live, I panic. So, and here's someone already laughing at me. So Meeghan, thanks.
Good luck, Kathleen. All right. See ya.
I know that everyone. Okay.
Thanks, girl. It's all bad.
It's all bad. So Kathleen, thanks for coming on.
Sure, John.
You are newer, but where are you in sobriety right now?
Today is day 53.
And how is it going?
Good. I actually heard a couple people talking about kind of saying that it feels different this time. And I think it does, because God knows I've done this 5,012 times.
You too.
Never successfully. And this isn't even my longest bout. I mean, my longest was about 115 days. But
why does it feel differently? What do you attest that to?
I think it might be literally the throw your hands up and go, I just can't do this anymore. Like I can't keep fighting it because I keep losing, and I can't moderate it. So I just can't have it anymore. It's just accepting that I can't have alcohol anymore on any planet, in any incarnation. So sort of, I don't want to say giving up, but just accepting that and moving forward seems to be helping.
I think what you said just kind of brought home the Super Bowl last year for me, which is coming up this weekend. I didn't go into that weekend thinking I was going to start drinking again. I went into that weekend thinking, you know what, I'm coming up on 3 months. I'm doing great. I deserve a freaking one last hurrah. And Monday, I'm right back at it. I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, Monday morning, I was back at it with all the wrong reasons and all the wrong baggage and hell, but the anxiety, the physical anxiety came flooding back so much because of what I had dumped into my system. And I don't know how much you know, Kathleen, but I was floored with anxiety, panic attacks, all that for years. And the best medicine in the world that day is alcohol for anxiety. I did it so I could go grocery shopping, so I could go out to socially drink. I drank before so that I could even drink, so that I could go out and drink normally. All those, I poured so much, but all that did is create the anxiety to come back in the morning at even a higher thing. I was just dumping, fuel, gas onto the fire and didn't realize it. And when I finally, a year ago, finally stopped, I was amazed at how it vanished for me. Now that's not across the board. I hear that 90% of the time people say the exact same thing. So I still think if you're dealing with anxiety and you're a drinker, there's one reason just in it alone not to do, to give it up. But some people, anxiety is a many splendor disease. But yeah, I was amazed. Something that I dealt with and fought for 30 years since my mid-20s went away as soon as I quit drinking.
I don't think I started having anxiety until my drinking got pretty hardcore. Never
It came on after the drinking got bad?
Say it again?
It came on after the drinking got out of hand?
It progressed with the drinking. So, the waking up in the morning, just crawling out of my skin, and I can't make my heart stop beating. I never drank in the morning. I just felt like shit all day.
Yeah.
But, I prefer not to use the term alcoholic. I like, sloppy drunk. But I learned that from my dad, who is an alcoholic to this day at age 86. Never missed a day of work, never lost any time. You just power through it. You just power through it and you don't talk about it. You just hide your bottles and do your thing.
Right.
But I think as it got closer to the end, last January when I said, I really just can't keep doing this anymore. I'm going to die. I've had heart surgery. I've had all these things happen. It's like, that's not enough to quit drinking,
Yeah.
And I was drinking vodka the day after I got out of the hospital when I had heart surgery.
Yeah. I talked at the beginning about abuse. And did you ever try that or?
100%. Yeah. I was prescribed abuse several times, actually. The first time I stopped drinking, I guess I did about 6 months, 15 years ago. I actually asked my doctor. I went in and I was shaky and crying. And I said, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm a single mom. I got 3 kids. So she gave me like a week's worth of Valium and some abuse. And I started seeing a counselor and I was doing well, and then probably about 3 weeks into it, I was like, I got this. I don't know what this abuse thing's about, but
you were still taking it?
Yeah, I took it every day.
Okay.
And of course it's cumulative in your system, although it will kick your ass even after taking it once. And I was immediately bright red. My eyeballs.
How much did you drink before
it hit me?
Yeah, I mean,
a glass of wine.
One glass of wine and that happened.
And my kids are like, "What's wrong with you?" Oh, mommy's just flushed. So yeah, having done that, and not just once, Jeff. I had to see if I could beat it a few times because.
Right.
So now I take one once a week, And that.
Oh, okay.
So that's my insurance policy.
Right.
That even if I think I have it all together and maybe it would be okay to have a beer while I'm watching the game, I'll be sick for the rest of the
See,
game.
it might be placebo, but it was enough. It was insurance. Now Trexon, which I don't know if you've heard of that. That's one that doesn't make you sick, but Tom and I had both done that years ago, and takes away the cravings, and also takes away the effects that the alcohol has on you. Mixed reviews on that. I know when I fought through it because I took it, but then got to test it.
Does that make it then not as attractive to drink?
It just took longer to kick in for me. It gave it kind of, now I was just a beer drinker, but it gave it almost a metallic taste. It didn't hit like I wanted, but it was not as good. But because I was such a freaking pathetic basket case, I still, I drank through it. So some people swear by it. There's other people I still just saw in the chats. There was someone saying that or their brother or someone it flipped through, drank on Antabuse. Some people I'm sure can. It was enough.
Then I paid for it.
Did you throw up actually? Because that's what.
No, it's not that kind of sick. You can die from drinking when you're taking abuse. Blood pressure goes through the roof. Heart starts pounding. Like I said, it's interesting because your skin gets super bright red, and hot.
Like me when I'm in the sun for 3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly like that. And especially here, this gets really, really flushed. But the scariest part is your eyes, because the whites of your eyes are blood red. And it takes several hours for the symptoms to go, not the symptoms, the effects to go away.
Wow.
So you can't be taking Antabuse and go out and try to have a quick beer with your pals because they're going to be afraid of you.
It was, maybe that's the time that my fears in life were good to have, because that was enough. The one thing my just general GP, general doctor is the one that prescribed that for me. I just went in and he knew, I think, how many times. I'm sure he didn't realize I was lying to him all those years when I told him that I had, 3, sometimes 4 on the weekends. But that was about it. I'm sure he bought that completely, but he gave me the prescription, but if it was pretty.
You've never taken it?
No, I've taken it. I've never tried it. Oh, I have them leftovers right here. And like I was talked about early, those are insurance. And I know that you can, I don't know if I'm going to take them this weekend. I've got them sitting here because if it's where I start to even get a little bit of a jitteriness, it's not worth it to me. I mean, I wear my seatbelt in the truck. I have no intentions of wrecking. I have no intentions of getting into flipping my truck, but I'm putting the seatbelt on just in case it happens. Just insurance. And that's how I look at this, but I'm not just relying on that, bottle of pills. I'm relying on this show, my family, my friends, myself, my schedule, my planning, my itinerary for the weekend. I have already thought, just today, I vividly tried to picture in detail, and I say paint a picture with exquisite colors because it's easier for me to see it that way, but what my life would be like Monday morning if I was to drink this weekend. And not saying, I've had people say, oh, I'd feel like crap, a hangover. Bull, I don't give a rat's ass about your hangover. That goes away in a few hours. I'm talking about how you feel about your kids, how you feel about your spouse, how about your job, your family, your pride, all those things. That does not go away. That doesn't, like a hangover. I don't want to do it because I'll feel physically like crap. No, that's the easy way out. If that was all dealing with a hangover, that's chump change. Plus, I know a great way to deal with a hangover.
We're pros. We know how to deal with
exactly.
a hangover.
I'm talking, how are you going to feel about the other things that really matter? And I really, really try to focus and write that out. And just picture that in great detail as deterrent. So those are all, my insurance policies for this weekend, and like the anti-abuse, if you can't get it, and you can't get anti-abuse to make you sick when you're drinking, have your spouse, a loved one, a kid, just if they see you drink, have them stick their finger down your throat, make you throw up that way. I mean, whatever.
That makes for a pretty good Super Bowl party.
Yes.
Your kid dragging you by the hair into the bathroom. And
got to clean up chips and stuff off the floor anyway, so why not just add a little to it? But yeah, it was, for me, is the memories too of what happened last year at the Super Bowl. And the law was not involved. It wasn't a legal thing. I didn't wreck my truck or any of those kind of things. I should have, could have, and needed to, but it was all the other stuff. It was family. And can you focus here? We're talking. Okay.
Yeah.
Right here. Let's keep the eyes. Yeah. Okay. Let's worry about the family at another time. This is more important. But yeah, it's just trying to not forget ever the negatives that happen. But I can tell you right now, just from doing the show tonight and talking with people, I feel a lot better than I did an hour and a half ago, and that's what's important. Now you were, we were talking about working with other alcoholics. We were? Well, no, we were earlier on the show. We were talking about how, and you ran into someone, or how did that work out? Because you're at the 50s day.
Friend. Yeah. This was a gal that I had worked with kind of peripherally. I was a chef at this place, and she was a job coach for words are hard. There was a gal who came in and did the dishes, and she was mentally disabled.
Got it.
And this woman was her job coach. So she would come and just sort of supervise her, so I didn't have to. And that, was a couple of years, and we became quite friendly because she was just hanging around while I was working. And we had lots of drinking stories. We both drank very heavily. So it was, she'd come in and she'd be like, oh, I got such a hangover, I'm going to die. She was a beer drinker too, like you, never really drank hard alcohol, but certainly drank a ton of beer, and her husband. And I left that job, so we kind of lost touch. And then last year, in January or March, I reached out to her, and I had not been drinking. I think I was about 60 days in. And I just kind of caught up with her, how are you doing? I miss seeing you. And she's like, oh, I'm doing good. I stopped drinking on January 4th. You did? So I, and I told her that I was trying also. And we talked about how we weren't in programs and we were just kind of reading books and stuff. Anyway, long story short, now she's 2 years sober. 2 years sober. And last weekend we got together and just kind of picked up where we left off and what we were doing to get support. And she had joined a couple of sobriety support groups that I had not heard about. So we just had a really good time talking about the whole thing, like how our drinking affected our kids, how it affected other family members. My children are all out of the house. She has younger kids. But I just found, we ended up talking for like 5 hours. I thought we were going to have a bite to eat, do a little shopping. We sat in her car in the rain and talked. But what I came away with, and I think this is part of how this feels different now, is that I felt that the time spent with her really reinforced my desire to protect this sobriety. You know, it's just the conversations that you have when you have some things in common besides the drinking. You know, she was talking about how she had lost quite a few friends when she stopped drinking because that was literally the only relationship they had. And I think we were fortunate enough to be friends before that. Anyway, it was very uplifting. I felt
Yeah.
a little weight off my shoulders. So that felt really good.
I think, you know, when you talk with someone like that, you hear things that come out of your own mouth that you didn't even realize were in there, you know, and it's so benefit. It probably just fuels both of you. So I think the communication in this thing, like Lee had said earlier, talking with another alcoholic that's newer and struggling. Someone had asked earlier in the thing about how to find a sponsor. I think, you know, if anyone's got chats, send in comments, put that on the Sober Talk Live Facebook group page. My only answer to that is through AA, because that's my thing. You know, you can find them at meetings. People are willing. They ask, is anyone willing to sponsor? So I don't know outside of AA how that is really done. But I know that someone's got some great advice. Again, a sponsor does not have to be an AA. That can be like the gal you had, you know, that's got 2 years and not an AA program, but has the experience, and you're just talking about the issues and what's worked for you. So it's finding that person. So anyone that's got that stuff. But Kathleen, I'll let you go. Thanks for coming on, and we will be. I'll be back Thursday night for a regular time. And again, I didn't get Kentucky's Best Hemp in, but if you're looking for your CBD stuff, Kentucky'sBestHempStill.com, KYSBestHemp.com, still is running the promo code Tom30, and you will receive 30% off your purchases for any of those products that you're looking for. And again, the Sensi Sober Cell, 513-313-6676. If you're interested, or you can Facebook to the group. If you'd like to get on the show via Zoom, I can email you links, whatever. And then I'm going to be on, or text me if you'd like to talk as well, name and number. Didn't get to everyone. Obviously, this hour just flies by. But I would love to. I'm going to be on intermittently, and I'll dump that as best I can on some of the things. But I will be checking in for makeshift shows through the weekend or whatever. I feel really good just after being this hour. So I'm going to get through it, but I'm also, I'm not going to take anything for granted. I'm going to make sure I do, because I ain't giving up what I've gotten in this last year. It's that's way, way too important to me. So thanks everyone for being here. And Tom will be on tomorrow night, still down in Hilton Head, but he got his all his audio problems worked out. It did cost him, I think, $4 cord at the local Walmart, but once you plug it in the right way, I think with the little dot pointed up, it makes all the difference in the world. So he'll be on tomorrow night, and then I'll be back again Thursday. Thanks everyone for being here. Take care. See ya. Exactly, Brian. Dora, take care. Thanks everyone for being here. I know I stink at getting through the comments and all. Lulu, thanks for checking in. Brian, Bruce, and Beth. Beth's husband still drinks. She can be around it, and that's awesome. That's my wife, and you're the same way. She loves to have a cold beer now and then. Why she doesn't like to have 2 and then 38 after that, I don't understand. But she's not one of us. She's one of them. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.